Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the annual general meeting for Rent.com.au for 2024. We'll just wait for a few minutes while people join.
Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 10th Annual General Meeting of Shareholders of Rent.com.au Limited. My name's Gary Garside. I'm the Non-Executive Chairman of the company. Thank you for your attendance at our virtual Annual General Meeting. I will be the Chair of this meeting. Please can shareholders who have not yet registered to vote refer to the instructions on screen now and register. To ask a question, please click the Q&A button on your screen and type it into the screen that pops up. There being a quorum of shareholders present today, I declare the meeting open. The voting is now open. I would like to introduce you to the other board members, officers, senior managers of the company, and the company secretary who are here in person today. Firstly, Mr. John Wood, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Sam McDonough, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Phil Warren, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Greg Bader, the Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Jan Ferreira, the CFO and Company Secretary. I would also like to welcome Mr. Brian Ting, the representative from the company's auditors, RSM. I will now move to the formal part of the meeting. At the conclusion of the formal part of the meeting, there will be a presentation from the Chief Executive Officer, Greg Bader, and an opportunity for you to ask general questions. You will have all received a copy of the resolutions with your notice of meeting. All resolutions contained in the notice of meeting and to be put to members today will be displayed on the screen. Unless there are any objections, I will take the notice of meeting as read. The notice of meeting for today's meeting contains a total of 6 resolutions, including 1 conditional item. The number of proxies eligible to be voted, their relevant voting intentions, and some background information will be displayed on the screen as we progress through the order of business. Voting today will be conducted by way of a poll on all items of business. I will shortly open voting for all resolutions. If you have already voted, no further action is required from you. However, if you wish to change your vote, voting on the resolutions is currently open and will remain open until I declare the voting closed. Only shareholders, proxy holders, or authorised shareholder representatives may vote. Any directed proxies given to you by a shareholder will be cast as directed when the poll is closed. The voting instructions. To access the meeting online, open your internet browser and go to investor.automic.com.au. To log in with your username and password or click register if you haven't already created an account. Shareholders are encouraged to create an account prior to the start of the meeting. After logging in, a banner will be displayed at the bottom of your screen. Click on register and follow the steps. Click on the URL to join the webcast and listen to the meeting. Once the chair of the meeting has declared the poll open for voting, click on refresh, select your voting direction and click save. I now declare the voting open on all items of business. I appoint Joel Lowe of Automic Registry Services, the company's share registry, as the returning officer. When voting is closed or submitted, your final voting selection will be recorded. I will let you know 2 minutes prior to the end of voting. I will also wait for a short period to allow shareholders to input their vote after I move each resolution. Poll results will then be compiled by Automic, and the full results of the meeting will be announced on the ASX. I will close the poll on all resolutions after the final resolution has been considered. If less than 25% of the votes cast on Resolution 1 are voted against adoption of the remuneration report, Resolution 2 will be withdrawn. Shareholders have an opportunity to ask questions on the resolutions put, and I encourage shareholders to do so. I remind shareholders that any question must be strictly related to the resolutions being considered by the meeting. If you have a question, please click the Q&A button on your screen and type it into the screen that pops up. You may vote online at any time between now and when the voting closes online. I will then close the meeting. Proxies. I advised at the beginning of the meeting that we will vote on the resolutions by way of a poll. Proxies have been received totaling 285,778,224 shares, representing 37.7% of the total number of shares on issue. For all open proxies, as indicated in the notice of meeting, I will be voting all available proxies in favour of all resolutions, with the exception of Resolution 2, where I will vote open proxies against the resolution. Ordinary business and financial report. I refer you to the opening matter of business of the notice of meeting and table the director's report, financial statements, an independent audit report for the financial year ended 30th of June 2024 for consideration by members. Members should note that the reports are not tabled for approval, but simply discussion. Representatives from the company's auditors, RSM, are available to answer questions from members in relation to the conduct of the audit. Are there any questions on the financial report or the reports of the directors and auditors thereon?
We've not received any in writing, and I can't see any having been lodged so far.
Thanks, Jan. So I will move to Resolution 1, which is adoption of the remuneration report. I refer you to Resolution 1 of the notice of meeting. Resolution 1 is advisory only and is a non-binding resolution on the directors of the company. I further note that at the company's previous annual general meeting on the 29th of November 2023, the votes cast against the remuneration report considered at that AGM exceeded 25%, and accordingly, the company received its first strike. For today's AGM, if 25% or more of the votes cast on the Resolution 1 are voted against the adoption of the remuneration report, the conditional spill motion, being Resolution 2, will be voted on. Are there any questions on the resolution? There being no questions, the proxy votes are displayed on the screen. I now put the motion to the meeting and ask shareholders to vote using your device. So Resolution 2, a spill resolution, which is a conditional item. I refer you to Resolution 2 of the notice of meeting. As noted in the notice of meeting and earlier in my address to this meeting, Resolution 2 is a spill resolution conditional on the percentage of votes against Resolution 1, meaning that will only be put to the meeting if 25% or more of the votes cast on Resolution 1, the remuneration report resolution, are voted against the adoption of the remuneration report. For the sake of expediency, I will call a poll on this conditional resolution now, so that the poll on this conditional resolution can be conducted at the same time as the poll for the other resolutions. As noted in the notice of meeting and earlier in my address to this meeting, if less than 25% of the votes cast on Resolution 1 are against Resolution 1, then Resolution 2 will be withdrawn. Are there any questions on Resolution 2?
No questions received.
No questions. As before, the proxy votes are displayed on the screen. I now put the motion to the meeting and ask shareholders to vote using your device. As noted in the notice of meeting and earlier in my address to this meeting, Resolution 2 is a spill resolution conditional on the percentage of votes against Resolution 1. Resolution 2 will be withdrawn if less than 25% of the votes cast on Resolution 1, the remuneration resolution, report resolution, are voted against the adoption of the remuneration report. Resolution 3, resolution and re-election of Mr. John Wood as Director. I refer you to Resolution 3 of the notice of meeting. Resolution 3 is an ordinary resolution. Are there any questions on this resolution? No questions. The proxy votes are now displayed on the screen. I now put the motion to the meeting and ask shareholders to vote using your device. Resolution 4, ratification of office lease agreements. I refer you to Resolution 4 of the notice of meeting and to the independent experts report appended to the notice of meeting, which found that the lease terms were fair and reasonable to non-associated shareholders. Resolution 4 is an ordinary resolution. Are there any questions on the resolution? There being no questions, the proxy votes are displayed on the screen. I now put that motion to the meeting and ask shareholders to vote using your device. Resolution 5, ratification of prior issue of underwriter options. I refer you to Resolution 5 of the notice of meeting. Resolution 5 is an ordinary resolution. Are there any questions on the resolution? There being no questions, the proxy votes are displayed on the screen. I now put the motion to the meeting and ask shareholders to vote using your device. Resolution 6, approval of a 10% placement capacity. I refer you to Resolution 6 of the notice of meeting. Resolution 6 is an ordinary resolution. Are there any questions on the resolution?
No.
No questions. The proxy votes are displayed on the screen. I now put the motion to the meeting and ask shareholders to vote using your device. Conclusion of voting. That concludes the formal part of the meeting, and voting on all resolutions will close in 2 minutes. Please ensure that you have cast your vote on all resolutions and remember to click confirm after you have made your voting selections on all the resolutions. While Atomic tally the votes, CEO Greg Bader and incoming CEO Jan Ferreira will deliver a presentation to shareholders. Following that presentation, we will take any questions from shareholders. To ask a question, please click the Q&A button and type it into the screen that pops up. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends the formal part of the meeting. I declare the meeting closed. The full results of the meeting will be posted onto the ASX announcements platform shortly. Thank you for your attendance at today's meeting. Please stay online for a presentation by Greg Bader and Jan Ferreira. Following the presentation, we will take any questions from shareholders. To ask a question, as before, please click the Q&A button and type into the screen that pops up. I'll now hand over to Greg. Greg, cool.
Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. Look, I'm going to run through a few slides, and as Gary mentioned, happy to take questions at the end, and I think we already have a couple. Look, it's been a strong year for the group, continued growth across rent pay, and that's despite, some pretty horrible market conditions in terms of the renting market, and then also advertising as well. And as always, it really comes down to the passion and drive of our staff that make up our company. Our sales capability continues to improve. Our brand, general awareness of who we are is getting stronger. And over the last 12 months, we've seen a number of new partners and products added to our solutions. Look, I really like this graphic and just want to spend a bit of time on it. It's going to be included on our website. It's a really easy to understand guide of the renting life cycle, how we assist at every step. It's renting on a page, for want of a better term. So one of the things I want to call out is that we've created many unique features that directly help renters navigate what can be stressful, intimidating, etc. So just starting on the left there, so walkability, lifestyle gauges, these cover every property in Australia, and it's a layer of information that assists people to make the right decision. Renter resume, nearly just under 2 million. So, I mean, that's a huge lift on something that we created. It helps people enter their information once, personalize your application, all designed to help you get in that property. Rent bond, biggest in the market now, and our 21-day fee-free period is unique, and it really helps those people transition between properties. PayLab, great partnership there. If we look at the average, it's everyday spending contributes to your rent, and for the average couple, that can mean $50 a week back into your rent pay wallet. Then, of course, rent pay, $20 million a month now, growing. Pay when you want, how you want, grow your credit, build a buffer, and all at the lowest rates in market with credit cards starting at 0.99%. So, look, I appreciate that's a lot of words, but the point is we've built something unique, something that people like, and something that's making a difference in the market. As I've mentioned before, both rent and especially rent pay are service platforms. That is, we've created an ecosystem that is applicable to the third of the country that rents, and one that we can layer in product, partners, new services. It's crucial that we keep these platforms relevant and fresh and allow them to grow. And the last point is really important because the growth not only obviously drives our financials, but it unlocks new opportunities as we move forward. I'm going to hand over to Jan now and just take us through a few slides on what we're thinking of next.
Thanks, Greg. First, just starting with our search portal, you'll see that we've touched on within the life cycle that there are lots of different data points and products for customers to interact with. The point of this is that we've got a lot of unique and useful data related to the rental property market. So in addition to our walkability and rental history information on over 2 million properties, we've had 500,000 people review their suburb. So just about every suburb in Australia has been covered multiple times with reviews. So we get a real good feeling for what are the key things in a suburb. And that information is very useful to various people. So while we will always staunchly defend the privacy of our customers, and we've invested in improving the security over our systems, we know that we can better utilize our non-personal information and new AI technologies to build better ways for renters to find their next home, to better serve real estate agents and also property investors. Using our data sets, we can also help our advertisers better target their advertising spend at a relevant level of granularity so that they can maximize their returns and keep spending with us. Other parties also find this data useful. Already, we've had some of our data acquired for urban planning purposes, and we see this as a real win because it feeds back into improving services for our renters, as well as helping us monetize our site. In terms of the products that we have, there's two key areas where we believe there are significant opportunities for us. Firstly, with Rent Bond, we've seen significant growth in demand. Over the last 18 to 24 months, the number of applications for bond finance has doubled. Partly this is because we've opened it up to referral partners, but also it indicates underlying demand. And we've not been able to fully capitalize on this through our current partnerships. We've also seen demand for new lending products from other industry participants. For example, landlords looking to smooth their cash flows by financing repair costs or lumpy one-off spends. Like, for example, in Victoria recently, they've introduced changes to the land taxes, which cause a lot of lumpiness, whereas our finance products could help landlords smooth that. These are significant opportunities, and we're working through this with both internally and with our partner to make sure that we're capturing all the benefits from them. Rent Connect is another area that we've got a huge opportunity to unlock. We've recently partnered with a large specialist connections provider in Connect Now to replace the exclusive partnership we previously had with Origin Energy. In addition to significant advertising revenue that this partnership brings us, we also have an opportunity for our customers to choose from a wider range of utilities, a wider range of utility providers when they're booking their connections. And they still get the same $100 gift card from us as we share the benefits of that product. The service with Connect Now has only been live for a couple of weeks, and we expect it to be fully optimized by the time we hit the moving peak in the March quarter. With RentPay, we're still laser focused in terms of growing our active RentPay customers. The key levers we've got are both industry partnerships and our usual sales and marketing activity. Consumer marketing is mainly organic and continues to generate a steady stream of users, but the agent channel is our fastest lever to scale. This requires consistent sales effort, presenting at industry conferences and events, and sales call after sales call after sales call. So that consistent effort is rewarded with lumpy customer wins, which can be frustrating at times, but such as the recent recordly quarterly growth that we had in September, it does pay off. Industry partnerships are also key. The one we have with MRI Software is starting to bear fruit. With joint marketing initiatives and better engagement, we're intending to expand that. We've also got additional capacity now with Sam, our incoming executive chairman, better able to utilize industry networks to help us generate growth. The other side of customer numbers is our ARPU. We regularly talk about the provision of a wide range of payment choices as being a key benefit to our customers, and they are. Most of our direct consumer customers use cards or other non-traditional payment methods. And payment choice is one of the key reasons our agent customers see a 50% lower arrears rate for customers using RentPay than they would in the industry. The benefit to our business is that many of these payment methods also allow us to generate a margin. We will always offer free ways for renters to pay their rent. That is a given. But by introducing a new transaction pricing model for agents that is dependent on the customer being able to choose their payment method, we expect to be able to improve our margins going forward. New products or revamping existing products is also an opportunity for us to grow our margins. We've touched on the improvements that we aim to achieve with RentBond, and similarly, the credit products that are offered within RentPay via our Score Builder or the Safety Net loan product are ripe for renewal. We've also got demand for personal loans and other products through RentPay, and we will aim to work with our credit partner and our internal capabilities to make sure that we deliver on that. We've already started taking some of the core functions like receiving payments, etc., into that roadmap, which leverages the key capabilities we have. Just hand back to you, Greg.
Rightio, last slide, I promise. So just looking at the top line there, you get a sense of how material we are in the market, right? I know I mentioned it earlier, but we're only 25 staff. We build all our own bits in-house. We run a customer service team where you can actually speak to a human. And I really do believe that we're making a positive impact on renting in Australia. And that seriously just comes down to the quality and the passion of our staff. So huge thank you to them. You've seen the leadership announcements from last week. For us, this is simply a case of making sure we have the best people in the right roles to drive a future that our business deserves. So for the last time, handing back to Jan to bring us home.
Thanks, Greg. Just before we dive into a Q&A, I think the opportunities for growth and scale are clear to us. Significant opportunity lies in better converting the huge demand we have for our RentBond product and the rent pay model is really demonstrating its value. While customer growth can be a little bit lumpy, depending on how quickly we onboard agencies, there has been consistent compounding revenue growth over the years as that annuity revenue stream comes to play. 25% of our group revenue now comes from this stable annuity style revenue, and we will keep growing that. We'll throw it open to questions and answers. Just a reminder, using the Q&A icon within the webinar will allow you to ask questions, and we'll answer them as we go through. While you get started, we might deal with some of the ones that have been emailed through to us previously. The first question, and I'll throw this open to Sam. You've recently announced Sam McDonough as Executive Chairman. What has changed and what has brought about this change?
Oh, thank you for that, Jan. Well, as some of you may know, I've been involved with Rent for many years. I've been a strong supporter, and certainly during that time, the team and leadership has accomplished much. What has changed for me is that I now have the capacity, given the management of some of my other non-executive commitments, to lean into Rent with a specific focus on the sales and marketing side, and certainly the ongoing improvement of the rent pay product. Secondly, I make reference to the time I'd spent at Airbnb. When I joined Airbnb to lead that business in 2014, less than 1% of Australians knew what Airbnb was. 5 years after that, nearly a third of Australians, or a third of the adult population in Australia had used Airbnb or had an Airbnb account. I see many similarities with where Rent is today and the platform that the team has established for us to take the opportunity with the good tech that's available to us, with products such as Rent Pay and the demand that has been referred to relative to Rent Bond, to really progress this business over the next sort of 5 years into something that will become a household name in Australia and part of the popular culture conversation. So I look forward to the opportunity that's been provided to me in this capacity, and see a very bright future of Rent ahead.
Thanks, Sam. Another email question is, you keep talking about a pipeline of 4,000 plus tenants waiting to onboard to Rent Pay. How real is that number? Look, good question. That number is based on the rent roll of the agencies that have actually signed an agreement with us. We don't count them until the agency's actually signed on. And even then we discount that number where the agency only offers Rent Pay as part of their overall solution, not their entire solution. The time delay we have is in getting the tenants to complete the onboarding, and that's why we see such lumpiness. So we might have a quiet quarter, and then we have a record quarter like we did in the September 24 quarter. Just while we wait for some more questions, the last one that was emailed through was, in your 4 Cs, you have software development costs. What is this for? So those costs, as you would expect with any tech business, there's always going to be software development costs. Primarily what those costs are is it covers new products and features. So all the new payment methods that we launch, if we add new functionality or new partnerships to Rent Pay to build out and work on improving our ARPU or the attractiveness to customers, those development costs are incurred, and that's what that line is all about. It's important to note that just over half of that we get back in R&D grants anyway. In fact, we're expecting just over 600,000 to be received during this current quarter to offset some of that cost. We have no other open questions. Might just give you a minute or so to ask any other questions. If you don't want to ask during the actual meeting, you can feel free to always email investors@rent.com.au, and we're always available to answer any questions through that. Gary, there's no open questions, so I might hand back to you to close the meeting.
Sure. Thanks, Jan. And as has been alluded to, this is my last meeting was as chairman. It's been a great privilege, and I'm looking forward greatly to Sam's contribution over the next few years. And I think also would be remiss to not use this opportunity to thank Greg Bader for his tireless, insightful work at Rent as the CEO, as he transitions to a well-earned next phase of his life over the next 3 to 6 months. So thank you very much, Greg, for all of your hard work in transforming Rent from where we started to where it is today, which I think we all agree is a great opportunity for the future. So thank you. And with that note, I close the meeting formally. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Just a reminder, if you've ever got any questions, investors@rent.com.au. And thank you for your attendance today.